Alright, people, so we have more crazy-ass people here rioting in, places like Tulsa and Charlotte and whatever, wherever the fuck. And, I mean, this is just, it's getting ridiculous now. I mean, we're seeing all these fucking rioters all the time now, like over the past year or two since Ferguson. You know, all these lunatics, burning down their own cities. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't even fathom why these idiots would do it. And the thing is, it's like we're almost incentivizing them to do so, because then I read the news stories and it's like only one person arrested in Charlotte when there was like fucking 16 cops injured and cop cars destroyed. I heard only one person was arrested that night. It's like, what the fuck, And I'm watching Ferguson, and it's like, I was watching those protests live, and it's like it's almost like they're letting these guys fucking loot and steal, and they're not arresting them. Like, arrest these motherfuckers and put them in jail and send a message that if you do this shit, we're not gonna let you get away with it. It's like, I'm watching it, and you see 20 people run into a store and loot it, and cops are nowhere to be found. It's like, where are the fucking cops? Where, call in the National Guard, call in reinforcements if you have to. Maybe use some, more deadly. Obviously, you need some, more than the average cop carries in terms of weapons and guns and in supplies and shit when you have problems like this. So, I mean, the government is really doing an insufficient job of dealing with this. And then you got the whole false narrative that's really fueling this, pushed by people like Obama, about how much blacks are being discriminated against in America and how racist people are. Oh yeah, how the white man is putting down the black man, and how blacks have it so tough in this country, and how it's like the 1960s, and it's just really annoying. And the whole Black Lives Matter, Lies Matter movement. It's just, first off, the name is divisive to begin with. I mean, it's a very divisive name. They talk about racism, but I mean, that's really the racist group I see in this country, is that. I mean, only focusing on the lives of black people. That's their main message. We're only going to talk about the lives of black people. And we're just going to ignore, an unarmed white guy gets shot by a cop. Who the fuck cares? Yeah, but an unarmed black person gets shot. Oh my, that's the biggest thing in the world. Well, where's the news stories about the unarmed white guys getting shot by cops? I never see a story about that. I never see stories about white guys getting shot by cops, but it's always about the blacks. Why? So that's racist right there. And last time I checked, we had the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We have equality in this country. I mean, we don't have fucking racism. It's a lie. The idea that there's this big sect of racism in America is a lie. There's no evidence to back it up. I mean, yes, in certain cases there are some instances of racism. Yeah. And then the whole thing comes down. I see black people get pulled over more. Well, I mean, they commit more crimes than white people. They commit more homicides and violent crimes. So, I mean, it's human nature to have like a bias. Like, if I go into a black neighborhood, it's just human nature to be more on alert. And also, if I'm in wherever, I judge a person, a lot of times a person of color, by what they're wearing. Like, if they're wearing normal, if they're dressed not like a gangster, if they're, if they don't have their pants, 10 feet below their ass, if they don't look like a fucking thug, and if they're well dressed, they're well spoken, they're well mannered, I don't fucking even think about their color, really. I don't look at them and, oh, it's a black guy, I better stay away from that guy. No, it's like, but on the other side, if somebody looks like a fucking thug, has a million tattoos, is dressed horribly, looks like he's fucking drunk or high or on drugs, then you fucking have something goes off in your head. Well, this guy, there's just something that, like, oh god, that guy looks, like a bad dude. And the same thing goes for a white guy too. When I see a white guy with a million tattoos looking like a gangster, something goes off. But so I mean, it's not really fucking racist to judge somebody on their I mean, there's just something that goes off in your head. It's human nature that when you see somebody with certain characteristics that you're like, oh, that guy looks scary, you might want to stay away from him. But again, they'll have you believe that's racist. So yes, I mean, black people commit more crimes, so violent crimes. So it's just logic that they'll be pulled over more by police percentage-wise than whites. I mean, is there racism involved in some cases? I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is racism. I'm sure there are bad cops. There are corrupt cops, but it's not a widespread problem like the left wants you to believe. It's you could say there's always going, it's never going to be perfect. But I mean, it's damn near perfect right now. I mean, I think race relations are bad because of the left, or whatever you want to call it. Obviously they're not good when we're having rioters, but it's not the fault of the white man or whatever the fuck they want to say. It's just it's more the fault of the black man, actually. I mean, if you look at the fucking riots happening, who are the main people involved? Or I shouldn't say the black man, but just people like the Black Lives Matter movement, George Soros. That's really who it's the fault of. And that's why race relations are in the shit, or whatever you want to say about race relations. They're not to blame on people like myself or cops, because most cops are good. They're really to blame on Black Lives Matter. Who's running around with false narratives like hands up, don't shoot, which was a total lie. And again, I think they're pretty racist in their message, because they only focus on black lives. How about white lives? How about, they only focus on cops killing black people. They don't focus on cops killing white people. Why? Would it really, it's like, why don't you? So I think that right there is pretty divisive. So there you go. I think I've done enough talking on this subject, but I mean, it's getting fucking crazy with all these riots happening. And I mean, I'm just so sick of hearing about how black people have it so tough and white privilege and all this bullshit, all this fucking bullshit about how racist everybody is in this country, how racist Republicans and conservatives are, and the basket of deplorables and shit like that, and how horrible of a country we are. It's just a bunch of fucking bullshit. The fact of the matter is, a vast majority of people in this country are not racist. And things that they call racist are not racist. Alright? It's not, most things that the left call racist are not fucking racist. They provide a false narrative of both. Like I was saying, it's human fucking nature to have a bias, that somebody who looks like a criminal, like a thug, whether they be black or white, you think that, well, that person might be a criminal, there's a higher odds, and factor into that scenario that, again, if you look at the statistics, black crime is way higher, black violent crime is way higher than white violent crime. So when you're in a black neighborhood, it's just human nature, to be more on edge. You have a 3, 4, 5, whatever times more chance of getting, robbed or whatever the fuck than you do in a white neighborhood, most of the time. So it's just, again, human nature to feel that way. So I'm just sick of all the lies coming out of Black Lives Matter and coming out of the mouth of people like Barack Obama. So there you go, people.